two teams are situated right next to each other. And, Kat, what makes tonight so exciting, you look at Georgia at 6, Missouri at 7, separated by less than a tenth in the NQS. And because of the new formula, you can actually move down. Your NQS score can drop, which it never used to be able to. So there's a lot at stake, particularly for Missouri tonight on the road.
Yeah, there definitely are. And one of those focuses that they're looking for tonight is those landings, because that can really make or break the difference in your score, especially heading into postseason. You see how close those scores are and how close these teams are, so it's going to be a fun night tonight.
All right, well, we begin tonight with some disappointing news for fans of Georgia and for fans of collegiate gymnastics in general. Lily Smith going to be out for the remainder of the season with a broken foot. You look at the numbers here, Kat, obviously what she contributed. We saw a perfect 10 in this building earlier this season. She was second in the country on floor, 9th in bars, but her impact for this team certainly goes beyond that. A tremendous loss in warm-ups. Last week at Kentucky, the team had to persevere without her, and they'll have to do that likely for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, they definitely will. This is a huge hit for Georgia. However, they have the depth, and Coach Roberts is confident that the team will rally just like they did last week heading into the rest of the season.
Yeah, the difference this time, they've had a full week of practice, a full week to set those lineups, and you're right. I think the depth this year under co-head coaches Cecile Concuto-Landy and Ryan Roberts, different than what Georgia has had in years past, and they're going to have to rely on it. If they want to maintain that number 6 ranking and push up and push some of those top teams in the nation, this is going to be a great test of it tonight.
It definitely will, and you'll see some exhibition routines tonight. We've got 2 on each event, and that is part of that, figuring out the lineups. And you think you've got them set by the end of the season, but honestly, both teams have kind of still been shuffling towards this end of the season, really trying to nail those down heading into the SEC Championship.
For Georgia especially, it's a double meet weekend. They're going to head to Huntsville, Alabama, compete on podium on Sunday, but tonight is all about Friday night in Stegeman Coliseum. Let's get it underway.
A huge Yurchenko layout full. That was a stuck landing, solid for Jeffrey Scott. Great start for Georgia.
Well, and of all the storylines, Kat, you can also talk about it being senior night. Georgia's going to bookend the night with seniors. They start with 2. They're going to end with senior in exhibition on floor, and fitting that Jeffrey Scott gets the night started the way she did.
Exactly. That's the perfect way for her to start her senior night, her last time competing here in Stegeman.
And Kat, I'm sure you remember from competing in here for the final time, the emotion, just the heightened everything that goes into it, wanting to be perfect. And I think you sometimes run the risk of trying a little too hard, and Jeffrey certainly didn't there. She looked the part in her first vault.
She definitely did. She started off calmly, and it is very emotional, I think, for all seniors in the building, Missouri as well. Just kind of, getting closer to the end of your career when it's been your whole life's work. So it's definitely an emotional night, and I know both teams are going to want to honor their seniors with a good score tonight.
5th year graduate Michaela Green opening things up here for Missouri on bars.
A solid start for Michaela so far, heading into the dismount. A double layout, a step back, but overall very clean start for Missouri.
Missouri just last week put up a 49.475 on uneven bars, their highest score on that event this entire season. Statistically, if you want to put quotes around it, it's their weakest event, but they've got all 4 in the top 10. Georgia's weakest event is beam number 11. When you get teams that are this high in the national rankings, you have to take weak with a grain of salt. They are just so solid across the board.
They are, and that's the good thing about having such talented teams is you get to be nitpicky, and you really have to be, because every team in the postseason is just near perfect. So it comes down to the tiniest step or the tiniest flex foot that will make the difference in the scores.
All right, well, Jeffrey Scott got things started. We go from one senior to another. Cenge Bachkoy will be up second, a senior from Budapest, Hungary.
With a 1.5. She was a little bit short on that, opened a little bit too early, had to take a step back, so that'll be a deduction. But the 1.5s have a 10.0 start value, so she has a little bit of wiggle room. You can see she's just a little quick on that block and opens up a little bit too early, having to take that step back. So that's going to be probably the one that Georgia will want to drop, and they'll want to have cleaner landings in the rest of the lineup.
Georgia, the number 4 team in the nation on vault, 49.375 last week. Their season best, a 49.475. As Kat noted, that Yurchenko 1.5, starting from a 10.0 start value. You see the score come up for Jeffrey Scott. That 9.875 comes out of a 9.95 start value for the Yurchenko layout full. As we get ready to go back over to bars, up second will be Lauren McPherson.
Lauren scored a 9.9 last week, starting off with a very clean Tkachev. Beautiful toe hand into the bail. Handstands are right on top. And that's really what they're looking for in this bar lineup is handstands on top and clean landings. You've got to end your routine with that exclamation point stick. And she did just that with that full twisting double tuck, nailed the landing.
I love the pace in that routine too, just taking her time, able to...
That is quite the celebration. She is excited. She really did have a good pace in this routine. You can tell she's really calm. She's not feeling rushed at all in her routine and really ending it off with this full twisting double tuck. And she's hoping that that will carry into the rest of the lineup. Sticks can be contagious. So hopefully that will be the story for Missouri over on bars.
Back over to Georgia, we go from two seniors, Jeffrey Scott and Chenge Bakshkoy to open the meet. Avery Mall, a true freshman, up third.
Another 10-0 start value here with the Yurchenko 1.5. That was a much cleaner landing. You can see she hopped forward. So that's going to be less of a deduction because she had more power, and that's what the judges like to see. It was a little bit more controlled, too, so it won't be as big of a deduction as the previous vault. She should be happy with that one.
An excellent vault there for Mall, who has recorded a 9.9 so far in her freshman season. See what this can score for Georgia. Getting ready to go back over to bars now. One of many season highs last week belonged to Olivia Kelly, a 9.875. Part of that season best 49.475 for Mizzou on bars.
And then into what's called a church. Huge release straight into the bail. Combining those release moves really helps eliminate some of the handstands in the routine. The handstands are the risky part. You've got to be right on top. So to avoid extra deduction and connect those skills, and she ended with another stick on that double tuck landing. So far, great routines for Missouri. Take a look again at this release move. She gets great height off the bar, and again, straight into that bail to eliminate some of those handstands. Very clean routine, ending with that stick.
Back over to Georgia. Up fourth will be Nyla Aquino.
One of the reasons the rules changed and the Yurchenko layout full changed to a 9.95 start value was to encourage more unique vaults like this one, which is a Souk layout full. Tiny, tiny shuffle of the feet. But for such a tiny person, Nyla gets huge amplitude on that vault. That's going to be a great score for Georgia. Yeah,
this is another 10-0 start value vault. The power coming off of the table here is worth taking a look at. That's not easy to do.
It is not, and she even flares her arms. That tells you the power and the height that she has on that vault. She's in full control, and you can tell with that landing.
An excellent vault for Aquino. Went 9.9 last week. She's been as high as 9.925 this season. Georgia yet to crack into the 9.9s here in this first rotation. Back over to bars. And for Missouri, this will be freshman Maya Terry. Career high last week at home in the win over Arkansas.
Starting off, beautiful handstand right on top. Toe hand into the ginger, straight into the bail. Again, nice height. You can tell she's got full control on those release moves and of those handstands. Beautiful routine so far. Looking for that stick again with that full twisting double tuck, and she got it. That's going to be another big score for the freshman. Beautiful lines in this routine. And like I said, those sticks are contagious, and you can tell. Big smiles for Missouri.
Yeah, terrific job there. We'll see if she can go back-to-back season and career highs. Back over to Georgia, and Kamara Williams will be up fifth.
This gymnast is full of power, and you will see it in this vault. Another Yurchenko 1.5. She controlled the landing. I would have liked to have seen a stick. Of course, so would Georgia. They've had a little bit of steps on each of their vaults. They're going to want to clean those up heading into the postseason in these next 2 meets.
Yeah, that's where you see these scores kind of hovering around the 9-8 range, and you know, it's as simple as that, Kat, as you talk about the steps leading to tenths, and that's the difference between 9-8s and 9-9s. And obviously what we've seen this team capable of doing, going close to 49.5 this season, which is a 9.9 average. And now Hannah Horton, one of the gymnasts, there's a lot of gymnasts that you're going to want to keep an eye on tonight, but Hannah Horton might be at or near the top of that list. She has had an incredible junior season here for Missouri.
Yeah, Hannah Horton has just been a rock star for Missouri through her whole career, but especially this year as a junior. Look at that handstand. She pauses. You could just take a break up there on top of the bar. Beautiful release moves. A little bit of a feet separation in that pirouette, but otherwise a very clean routine so far. Last handstand right on top as she heads into her dismount. Double layout and another stick. Missouri has been very impressive with their landings. You can tell that they really practice those in the gym, and it shows. They've got great control. They were even practicing right up until their first bar lineup. Coach Shannon Welker had them practicing their sticks off of a springboard, getting ready for their dismounts.
You see just that little cross of the feet on that pirouette, as Kat noted. But yeah, the landings have been there, and that's the difference when you see these scores start coming in for Missouri. 9.9 for Kelly, 9.925 for Terry. And I expect Horton will be right back in that range as well with another terrific routine. And now, last competition vault for Georgia, Addie Wall.
Yurchenko 1.5. Again, she opened up just a little bit early, had to take that step back. So Georgia's definitely going to want to improve on their landings on vault. That's going to be a takeaway from tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a perfectly solid vault score, but I think, you know, meeting that criteria that we talked about with Coach Roberts earlier this week, wanting to see a truly solid meet, I don't know that this is exactly the opening that Georgia might have hoped for.
Yeah, definitely, and that happens when you're trying to control the vault too much. You don't find the landings, ironically. You've really got to just focus on the technique, and the landings will be there. So that's going to want to be their focus in practice heading into, well, really heading into their next meet on Sunday.
That's right. Regardless, good, bad, otherwise, Georgia gets a chance to compete here in about 48 hours' time, and to do it on podium. Here is Kamara Eccles in the anchor position for Missouri on bars.
Nice start with that bail to handstand. Missouri's handstands have been right on top. Very unique skill. That's a Corkina release move. Unfortunately, it looks like she was way too far from the bar.
Yeah, she came off on that in warm-ups too, and fun to see, but unfortunately, Missouri is not going to be able to improve upon their score. This will be the routine that they need to drop.
Finishing up here. Double layout and a stuck landing to end that routine. So you definitely don't want to fall. That's not the routine she was hoping for, but the good news is the rest of the lineup hit their routine, so they'll still have a complete score with that bars rotation.
Now, in addition to the 6 gymnasts and 6 scores you're seeing on your screen, we will also have exhibitions. Each team is going to have 2 scheduled exhibitions per event. Just had one on vault from Brooke Pearson, and Nicole King is scheduled to exhibition next for Georgia. Addison Lawrence and Raina Light are the 2 exhibitions for Missouri on bars.
One of the benefits of having these exhibition routines, especially so late in the season, is, like I mentioned, those coaches are still working on the lineups and figuring those out. And they want their gymnasts, all gymnasts, the ones in the lineups, the ones that are in the exhibition spots, to be ready when their name is called. So if somebody goes out unexpectedly, like Lily Smith did last week, you have the depth to be able to put somebody in there who's had competition experience and able to step up when needed.
Yeah, and that's why even this deep into the season, we're into March, and you're only 2 weeks away from the SEC championship for both of these teams. We're going to see that both coaches take advantage of this ability to go 8 deep tonight and really get to see that competition experience.
And that's the beauty of having that depth. Not all teams have that, and so both teams are thankful enough to have that ability to have multiple gymnasts on their lineups, and that was a great vault from Nicole King for her senior night. You could tell she is excited.
But again, when that's your 8th vault in the lineup, you want to talk about depth and the strength of this Georgia vault team, number 4 in the country. That's a beautiful vault from Nicole King.
The fun part about senior night, too, is sometimes your seniors, you know, they play more of a support role, or they are in those 7th and 8th spots, which is still a very important spot to be because you're pushing your lineup to stay the best that it can be every week. But it's fun to get them to be out here to compete in front of their home crowd one more time of their career.
All right, the first of 2 exhibition bars routines now. Addison Lawrence for Missouri.
Another senior for Missouri, and Addison had a great routine last week in exhibition. She got a 9-9. Looking to do that again tonight. Beautiful handstand right on top. Giant full into the dismount. And another stuck double tuck. She was a little bit late on that full pirouette, but she recovered well with that dismount.
And so as we noted, these exhibition routines will not affect the overall team score, and you can see the scores in because Eccles is not going to be able to improve upon the 5 there. Missouri will have the lead at the end of one rotation with a 49.425. 49.250 for Georgia. That's a flat 197 pace for the Gym Dogs. So certainly not a bad start, but again, the landings particularly left a few tenths out there. Missouri has to be really happy with how they've settled in on bars in these last 2 weeks. They've taken, again, statistically what was their weakest event, even though they're number 9 in the country. Last week, 49.475 at home, but now to be able to put up a 49.425 on the road and, I mean, locked in from the opening routines there, I thought that was a very impressive performance.
It was. They've got to be happy with that start. And the goal is to continue to build throughout the season so you're peaking at the right time, and I'd say that's exactly what they're doing tonight.
Shannon Welker in his 13th season as the head coach at Missouri, and what a job he has done over the last decade plus to build this program into an SEC and national powerhouse. And this is a year with a lot of transition in the Missouri roster, a lot of underclassmen stepping into spots, and yet here they are, number 7, season high in the mid-197s, NQS of 197 too. Just having another characteristically very solid year. And second exhibition now, this is Raina Light for Mizzou.
And that's really a testament to their upperclassmen too. With such a young team coming in and showing your young ones the ropes and kind of continuing that culture. Coach Shannon Welker said that that's something he's enjoyed from his seniors, is kind of taking over the reins from their big seniors that they lost last year and really filling those shoes for this team.
And fittingly, Raina Light caps it off with a stick. That was the theme for Mizzou as they go 3 routines of 9-9 or higher, and the 7th-ranked Missouri Tigers grab the lead at the end of one rotation. They're up 49.425 after bars. Welcome back, everyone, inside Stegman Coliseum. Kevin Kopp, Cat Hires with you. Friday Night Heights here in Athens. The 6th-ranked Georgia Gym Dogs trail 49.250 for Georgia on vault, 49.425 for Missouri on bars. As we flip with Georgia heading to bars and Missouri heading to vault at the end of one rotation. Missouri stole the show there, Kat, with 3 scores, 9-9 or above. Hannah Horton leading the way with a 9-9-5, and just an excellent start here for Missouri on the road.
Yeah, that's exactly how they wanted to come out of the gates, with handstands, landings, very clean bar rotation throughout the lineup, and that's exactly what Coach Shannon Welker was wanting. So they're going to want to continue that heading into vault.
Plenty of momentum, and let's see what they can do here in rotation 2, trying to maintain the lead. Kennedy Griffin, the junior, get things started for Mizzou.
Mizzou had a lights-out warm-up, sticks left and right, so they're looking to carry that into competition. She tried just a little bit too hard to get that stick, and you can see she had to take that hop forward.
Well, not the start that Missouri wanted to see, unfortunately, on vault. And now we're ready to take a look at Georgia's bars lineup, and of course this is the first event that feels that impact of Lily Smith not being, or excuse me, Lily King not being in the lineup, and now Chenge Bakshkoy will lead off for Georgia.
Beautiful tack salto to start off for Chingay. Nice release up to the high bar. A little bit over on that handstand, but she was able to control it. Headed into the double tuck dismount. And a little bit of an uncontrolled landing. It looked like she had it, but she had to take a step back. So that'll be a deduction.
As you said, Kat, those sticks can be contagious, and feels like right now Georgia just needs one to get it going, and looked like they might have had it there with Bakshkoy, and then just that extra step right at the end.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it takes, is really absorbing the landing and getting that one stick to get the ball rolling for the rest of the team. So they're going to hope to do that for that second routine.
Same can be said here for Missouri. Rayleigh Jackson will be up second.
And speaking of landings, this is one of those spots that Mizzou's going to want to improve from last week. They struggled with the landings as well, and it's a common problem to have, and that's really what separates the winning teams, is those landings. And this was a controlled one. That was a beautiful 1.5. A hop forward, so we have yet to see a stick after the first ball from Jeffrey Scott. She gets great height off the board, off the horse, and great form throughout the air. Just want to really limit those hops and steps on those landings.
Right up second for Georgia will be Brooke Pearson, freshman who did have a season-high 9.825 last week. Inserted into the bottom of that lineup, now in the number 2 spot.
And Brooke is the one that's filling in this lineup. Last week was her first time competing on bars. So to get a solid score of a 9.825, she's going to continue to look to improve on that to match the almost guaranteed 9.9 plus score from Lily Smith. So
no
far,
pressure.
Beautiful. No pressure at all. She's doing great so far. Handstands right on top and looking for that stick, and she gets it. That should get the momentum moving for the rest of this bars lineup.
Well, and you could tell the team knows the significance of the role that she is stepping into, and it's really unfair to put that on anyone's shoulders, let alone a freshman like Pearson. But, you know, she knows, and I think having the full week this time to prepare for it, of course, competing at home makes a difference, and she looked really confident and composed. I'm sure this will be a new career high.
Definitely, and, you know, you never want a teammate to go out, but at least she has a couple regular season meets to get comfortable and get routines under her belt before they head into the big spotlight postseason meets.
Kaya Tonskinen will be up third.
Very unique vault with the front handspring, front pie calf. So a 10.0 start value, but again, big hop on the landing, so that'll be another deduction. And both teams really want to focus on those sticks, and that's going to really be the name of the game moving forward tonight and this season.
I'd love to see that fun variety in the vault lineup, though. Some great difficulty.
Definitely. The judges love that, too, and they like to reward those vaults, especially when they get those stuck landings.
Holly Snyder will be up third.
We've got some solid bar workers on the back half of this lineup, starting with Holly Snyder. She had some minor injuries throughout the season, so she's gotten back into the lineup the last few meets, and really great timing. She is a great offset for the talent that Lily Smith shows. Those unique straight body handstands, you don't see that very often in college gymnastics, and another stuck landing on that full twisting double tuck. I don't really understand how sticks are contagious, but they truly are, and you can tell. Once you get one, then they just keep on coming.
It's one of those cliches for a reason, though. There is something about it, and sure enough, that one just drilled.
Big smile for Holly Snyder. Great routine for that lineup.
All right, up fourth for Missouri will be the redshirt senior, Elise Tisler. Began her career at Towson.
And Yurchenko, 1.5. She nailed that in warm-up, and that was pretty close. She had just a tiny hop. That was a great controlled landing, a huge 1.5.
Yeah, I think certainly the best of the 4 for Missouri. Let's get another look.
She gets great height off this table. beautiful form, a little bit of a leg bend and pike tips, but very clean vault and a beautiful landing.
See, by the way, that score come up for Brooke Pearson. She matches last week's debut score of a 9.825. Another freshman up fourth, Khalees Wolford.
And the strategy with the lineups is, oh, it looks like she was just off on that pack salto. Her timing was just off, and she wasn't able to rotate that flip all the way around. So this is the score they're going to want to drop. Clean routine other than that, but that was a major mistake.
Really uncharacteristic for the freshman who's come out and just been so good.
She really has been so consistent, especially as a freshman, week in and week out. So that's uncharacteristic. She's going to want to shake that off headed into the next meet on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nice things about the double meet weekend. You know, we focus a lot on, it's tough. It's tough on the body, as you know, but you get the chance to erase some of those mistakes quickly. Here is Hannah Horton.
Another Yurchenko 1.5, and so much power. You can see that huge hop out of the vault. The judges definitely prefer to see an over rotation versus an under rotation, but that was still a multiple 10th deduction on that landing. And Coach Welker was saying, you know, these vaults are really what could make or break the difference in the meet, and you can see why. You really nickel and dime yourselves with these landings. Despite having the 10-0 start values in the difficult vaults, if you can't land, those tenths will really add up, and that will affect your final score.
It was their low score of the 4 last week. Still able to push into that mid-197 range with 3 great rotations otherwise, but neither team has made it easy for themselves on vault. And now Georgia with a couple of pressure sets here on bars after the break on the pack salto from Khalees Wolford, Autumn Reingold, and Jeffrey Scott to finish up for the Gym Dogs.
Yeah, and the teams practice these pressure sets, so they give you scenarios or they have inter squads, and if there's a fall, you still continue in that lineup with the pressure to hit the routine for scenarios exactly like this. So we'll see how Autumn Reingold, as a freshman, handles this situation. One of the worst things when waiting for your routine is waiting for the judges as they figure out the scoring. Sometimes when there's a fall in the routine before there's a major deduction, and the judges have to confer with each other to figure out, you know, exactly where they took the deductions to make sure the scores are matching up and their deductions are matching up. They have the same start value, so you can see that's what they're doing here.
So a little bit of extra time now for Autumn, and you see co-head coach Ryan Roberts over there just to talk with her and trying to keep things as loose and in rhythm as possible.
She still looks in the zone. And that's part of the challenge too. You know, as coaches, you learn your athletes and figure out what they need in these times. Do they want to be spoken to? Do they want to be left alone to sit with their thoughts before they compete? And that can make the difference of the routine too. You don't want to throw them off their game, but she looks locked in and ready to go for this routine. Like there's still a little bit of conversation surrounding the score.
She's looking more composed than her coach right now, waiting for these judges to finish up.
I think that smile was one of relief that she finally gets to compete now.
Here we go, Autumn Reingold.
Nice first handstand into the blind change. Pike Jaeger, so far so good. Into that pack salto release. Pirouette right on top. So So far, a very solid routine for Rheingold. Just the dismount left. A double layout and a tiny, tiny shuffle. Not quite the stick, but after a fall and that long wait, I'd say that's a pretty solid routine for Rheingold. She should be happy with that one.
Yeah, great job. Great mental toughness there from Rheingold to get Georgia back on track.
Beautiful piked Jaeger. Just great form throughout. As a freshman, she handled this situation perfectly, exactly how you want to heading into these bigger scale meets.
All right, now Kamara Eccles, freshman in the anchor position on vault to cap off this rotation for Missouri.
Looking for a stick in this lineup, a Yurchenko full, and that was almost a stick. Just a tiny, tiny shuffle of the feet, but that was the best landing of their lineup, so there's a reason she's in that anchor position.
This is just a huge, beautiful Yurchenko full.
Yeah, she's got great form in the air and the height. You can see she's in full control of that Yurchenko layout full. Great way to end off that vault rotation.
And a reminder, we do have 2 exhibitions for Missouri on vault, Ayla Acevedo and Dakota Essen-Price. And now one routine remaining before the exhibitions for Georgia will be Jeffrey Scott. Oh, and we have at least one perfect 9.95 from one judge and a 9.9 from the other for Eccles. But a great finish to the rotation for Missouri.
Definitely. I thought I saw a foot shuffle, but
yeah,
I must not have. Or that judge didn't see it.
You did, I did, and the far side
Yes.
judge did. Here's Jeffrey Scott on bars.
Maybe that judge blinked right as she landed. Jeffrey has some huge, powerful swinging bar routines. You can see those releases. She just gets such air, but still so controlled. And a stuck landing to cap off this bar rotation. A happy senior with that bar routine.
Building those great senior day moments. She got to open the meet on vault. She gets to cap off the bars rotation and does it with a stuck landing.
She's 2 for 2 so far.
All right, exhibition vault, Ayla Acevedo.
The Yurchenko layout full, another very clean landing. I'd love to see the judges look for the height, which is also called amplitude, off of the horse, but they also look for the distance from the table. That one was a little bit closer to the table, so the judges would love to see her a little bit further away to show that power along with the controlled landing, but that was overall very clean vault, and she could fit right into that lineup.
Yeah, now it's a tough assignment when you have to exhibition. You have to follow Eccles, who does, at least according to one judge, a Yurchenko layout full to perfection, but I mean, really perfect on the table, great form in the air, and so it is tough because you really do want to build your lineup in terms of how you construct 1 through 6. And the Stegman crowd is really turned against the result there for Jeffrey Scott. 10.5 of separation, a 9.95 from one judge, a 9.8 from the other judge, and that will drive coaches crazy when you see a 10.5 of separation between the 2 judges.
It definitely will. I'm sure they'll be having a conversation with those judges and potentially putting in an inquiry to challenge the score.
All right, 2 exhibitions for Georgia as well here on bars. Addie Wall will be the first of those 2. And maybe Emma Mason.
Nice pike Jaeger for Mason. Into the pack salto. So far, so good for this exhibition. Double tuck, a little bit of a shuffle, but overall very solid routine, and this is great experience for this gymnast, especially now that they have that loss with Lily Smith. Exhibition routines become more important than ever to get this experience in front of the crowd, in front of the judges.
My apologies, a change there for Georgia. Emma Mason, the sophomore, will be the first of 2 exhibitions, and we are expecting to see Avery Mall, the freshman, up second.
See a smile of relief from Emma Mason after she hit that bar routine. And that was actually Emma's first time competing this season. And that just goes to show that, you know, teams are really working on those lineups through the entirety of the season, even headed into nationals, because you never know what's going to happen day of. You never know who's going to go out, who's going to need to step in, and so it is so important to get them out there in front of these judges.
You know, depth is the word we've used a lot tonight, but it is what separates these top teams, and Georgia and Missouri certainly with those aspirations. You see the national rankings, 6 and 7, you know, wanting to be among those 4 teams left standing at the end.
This will be Avery Mall's first time on bars as well as a gym dog. Starting off with a church, straight into the packed salto. She's looking very comfortable up there. Solid last handstand. Into the full twisting double tuck and just a step on the landing. Minimal deductions in that routine. That was a very clean exhibition. I think Coach Roberts will be happy with both of those routines at the end of the lineup.
And Jeffrey Scott capping things off with the 9-9. Georgia able to make up a little bit of a ground. These two separated by less than a tenth at the mid. Welcome back, everyone. 2 rotations down, 2 to go, and fittingly, 2 teams separated by just 1 spot in the national rankings are separated by less than a tenth. 98.550 for Missouri, 98.475 for Georgia. Well, in rotation 3, Missouri will be heading to floor. This is their strongest event, and you know, you see the season low vault in back-to-back meets, 49.125. But last week they made up for it with the other 3, had their second highest score of the year, and they're in a position to do that. They had a great start on bars, and this is an event where they should feel very, very confident.
Exactly, and this is where they can pick that momentum back up from bars. Heading into these last 2 events, and this is exactly what Coach Welker is talking about, putting together a complete meet. They want that vault rotation from last week combined with the scores that they've had so far this meet.
Before we get to Missouri on floor, we begin with Georgia on beam, and it will be Holly Snyder in the leadoff spot.
Starting off with a triple series, and she was just really off to the side, really crooked on that last layout step out. And that is not how they want to start their lineup. So they've got an uphill battle here for this beam rotation. Switch half. To start right off the gate, especially not only with the first routine, but the first skill of her routine. That's a tough way to start. Ending with that round off 1.5. So they're definitely going to want to drop that routine. It's always tough to have a fall in that first spot. That's not how you want to start off your beam rotation.
Yeah, now Georgia had one last week at Kentucky, but it was much later in the lineup with Kamara Williams. Just had to hit in the anchor spot with Jeffrey Scott, and they did. Now you've got to get 5 in a row. They were able to hit those routines that they needed to on bars, but certainly a different ball game on beam now for Georgia. We'll see how the Gym Dogs respond. We get ready to go over to floor, and now Missouri a chance to take advantage. Rayleigh Jackson in the leadoff spot for the Tigers.
Starting off this full rotation with a huge double pike. See that 4-inch mat that she landed on, they just pulled off the floor. Gymnasts are allowed to use those mats without a deduction. Kind of softens the landing if they have any kind of injury or any kind of sensitive points to help conserve their bodies for the long-lasting season, especially on floor where it can be a pretty impactful, you know, you're lots of pounding, pretty hard on the body. So to keep their bodies healthy throughout the season, that's a way that they can do that on those big passes. to a double tuck. Another controlled landing. See that front foot didn't slide forward. That shows the judges she's in full control. A great start for Missouri.
It is really controlled tumbling in both of those passes. Excellent start for Jackson.
She gets great height on this double pike. And that's something that the judges are looking for, and Missouri really shows throughout all of their routines, is big tumbling and controlled landings.
All right, following the opening fall from Holly Snyder, here is Harley Tomlin.
Harley's capable of a big score here on beam. While it's not fun to go after a fall with your whole lineup, it is great experience for this team to do these pressure sets, because you never know what's going to happen, especially in the postseason with those high caliber meets. The pressure's on, it's loud, everything's going at once, and so to practice this in a meet setting is really crucial, and if they're able to get through it, then they'll just be stronger for it. That was a great triple series for Harley. Just wants to move through this routine and get the ball rolling back in the right direction for the rest of the lineup. Just a dismount left to round off 1.5. And a stuck landing. That's exactly the kind of routine they wanted. And an extra front handspring there in celebration. That's exactly the routine they wanted to get them back on track for beam.
Yeah, great job here by Tomlin. Not easy to do.
She handled it flawlessly. That was a huge triple series, extra difficulty with that third skill. And then ending with that exclamation point stick and front handspring.
And up second on floor for Missouri will be Elise Tisler.
Starting off with the front handspring, front layout, front 1.5 to fulfill that 2 acro pass. Missouri Tigers even have a lot of power in their leap combos, which is impressive. Normally that's the graceful portion, but they have both grace and power in their routines. The positive thing about having floor as their third rotation and it being their best event is getting to kind of loosen up. You know, you're allowed to kind of let loose a little bit and have fun with your teammates. And that's a huge advantage going into beam, so they're not tight on those 4 inches and, you know, already stressed, having not maybe gotten the score they wanted on that vault rotation. So another solid routine for Missouri. Great floor routine.
Yeah, they certainly have come back and just reset the momentum and look like how they did coming out of the gate on bars. That's 2 great routines to start, including this one here for Tisler.
Another look at that first pass. Very clean, a unique first pass to start with the 2-flip pass. She handled it well.
All right, Khalees Wolford trying to keep things going here after a big bounce back from Harley Tomlin.
Starting off with the wolf turn. Preparing for her series. Handspring layout, step out. Rock solid. One of the things that helps with your beam routine and keeping solid up there is keeping the momentum throughout your routine, and that's one of the things that the judges look for too, is dancing out of those elements to make it look like no problem, and she's doing just that. Just the dismount left. Round off double full and another stuck landing. Coach Roberts said this team is resilient, and they're showing that so far following that fall from Holly Snyder.
And 2 underclassmen as well. Tomlin, a sophomore, Khalees Wolford, a freshman. They have delivered.
There were very minimal deductions in that routine. That's going to be a big score.
Yeah, following the 9.875 from Tomlin, you can see the team is starting the chance here in this Stegman Coliseum crowd for a 10. Back over to floor. Ayla Acevedo will be up third.
Starting off with a double pike. She almost opened that up. She had so much height.
And the eruption in the arena during the second pass, 110, 1995. It'll be a 9975 and a new career high for Khalees Wolford.
And that just shows the mental toughness that Khalees has as a freshman to come up on the beam after a fall and to do a near perfect routine. It was perfect. I'm not sure what the judges took, but a 9975, that just shows how mentally strong she is.
Last week set a new career high with a 995, and she has topped it this week. 10 feels like a when, not if, for just a freshman. My goodness. Acevedo having to contend with that roar during her routine.
Heading into her third pass, a double tuck. Very clean routines for Missouri. Another solid routine to add to that lineup.
Yeah, they just don't give away much in the tumbling. It's really, really crisp. It's controlled. It's powerful. And you can see why this team has been number 5 on floor. They've gone 49.575 this season. Be above a 9.9 average. And now Jada Battle, who makes her season debut here on beam. Even with the 2 hits in front of her, this is more pressure than you would want to put on Battle for her first competition routine here in 2026.
It definitely is, but she's had competition experience on beam, so she's going to be looking to pull from that here tonight. Starting off with that split 3/4 in her leap combo to meet that 180-degree split requirement. Beautiful front toss. Handspring layout step out, saving her series for the end of her routine, which is a little unusual. Sometimes it helps to have a little bit of be a little bit tired heading into your series so you're not too tight. And another stuck landing.
And that's a phenomenal routine.
They've got 2 more routines, and this would be quite the comeback story, coming from a fall and getting huge scores on these next 3 routines. Hopefully they can carry it through on those last 2. Great job for her. First time competing beam this season.
That dismount was something special. She got a lot of power and height on that dismount. She had time to come down and plant it, and you could see how emotional it is for Battle competing in the lineup for the first time this season. Huge moment, and she more than delivers for this Georgia team. They have 2 left, as Kat noted. Meanwhile, back over on floor, Kaya Tonskinen, sophomore, will be up 4th.
Starting off with a full-in double tuck. Great difficulty on that first pass with that E-level skill.
Perfectly controlled lunge.
They've got some solid scores so far. 199, 2, solid 9.8 scores, and Kaya's able to do big scores here on floor. Last week, She scored a 9.925 against Arkansas. You can see why with her difficulty. And they've been really clean across the board. You can see why this is their strongest event. Into her last pass, a 1.5 front layout. Again, very clean. And they are just so consistent. They're bouncing back with these floor routines.
An excellent rotation going here for Missouri. 2 to come, including Kennedy Griffin, but a really impressive full in. Start off that routine from Tonskin, and now another Georgia freshman, Kamara Williams, after great routine from Battle.
Kamara had some trouble on this event last week. She's going to want to block that one out of her mind and really focus on her training and past performances that have been successful. A huge series, handspring layout, step out 2 feet. You don't see that very often. You can see the height she gets in that layout. She spots the beam well in advance. Side summy. Talk about power. She's got power. Her skills are about as tall as she is. He jumped into that straddle 3/4. And while this is a young team on beam, we do have some experience through the season, but still some new members in this lineup, and you wouldn't be able to tell by these beam routines so far. Deep breath before the dismount. A gainer pike and another stuck landing. I'd say she redeemed herself from last week.
Yeah, it's a great bounce back at a time where Georgia really needed it. Suzanne Yachlin looking on. You get her out of her seat, you've done something right.
Yeah, you're happy when you see Suzanne Yachlin clapping for your routine. A huge layout 2 foot, so unique. She struggled last week, but she was almost perfect, if not perfect, this week.
We've seen 110 from one judge. You see that 9.975 there from Wolford. Battle 9.9 in her debut. Georgia has woken up here on beam in a big way. Hannah Horton starting with a massive double layout.
A huge double layout. And when these gymnasts have so much power on these passes, yet are still able to control it, that just says so much to their training.
We've got another 9.975. Gym Dogs just haven't been able to put the 10s together, but they've got one here and one there. Another brilliant routine, another career high, this time for Kamara Williams.
Wow, both from freshmen too. After a fall, that is incredible and just is so promising for this team moving forward. You've got a bunch of just athletes that are athletes, and they are mentally strong and they can handle the adversity. That's incredible. And speaking of incredible, this routine has been so good so far for Hannah Horton. One more pass here, front pike through to a double tuck. Didn't even need to grab her legs because she just had that much power and height. Georgia's having a lights-out beam rotation, and hopefully they can end it with Jeffrey Scott, but Missouri's having an awesome floor rotation as well, not to be overshadowed at all.
This is exactly what we were hoping for, just two heavyweights trading blow for blow here. I mean, one routine better than the next. Both of these teams at a really, really high level right now.
Exactly, and even if they had, mistakes in the beginning of the meet, the way that they bounce back is really what the coaches are looking for, is how they handle that and how they're able to be resilient throughout the entire meet.
All right, still one very important routine remaining. Georgia has done great work, but they need to drop that 9-1 from Holly Snyder, and to do that, they need a hit routine from Jeffrey Scott.
Missouri just needs to trust her training and her past routines and success that she's had here on beam. Starting off with her series, a handspring layout, step out. Not a wobble. Tiny bit of a break there between that connection. But she kept her arms moving, so I'll be interested to see what the judges do there if they give her that connection. Beautiful 180 switch leap into that split jump. Jeffrey is not only powerful, but so graceful. Famous Gym Dog moonwalk. Always a crowd pleaser. Her final time doing that in Stegman. So she'll have to pass it off to another worthy Gym Dog. Just a dismount left, a front handspring, front 1.5, and just a tiny shuffle of those feet. But what a story for the Gym Dogs on beam, coming back after that 9-1 from Holly Snyder and probably having the best beam rotation of their season. I'm not sure, Kevin, you fact check me, but.
Well, we need the judges to make it official, but yeah, it's going to end up being by, I think, some margin, the high beam score. We'll see.
And that's just a testament to their training and really the confidence that the coaches instill in them and that their team instills in each of these athletes to be able to have the trust in their own gymnastics to handle that adversity after a fall.
Now, Kennedy Griffin, you see 6 straight floor scores of 9.9 or higher. She's one of 6 gymnasts in the country to do that. That streak got snapped last week at home with a 9.875. I'm going to be willing to venture she may be beginning a new streak here tonight in Stegman Coliseum. Let's see.
With this momentum they've got going and building on those 9.9s that they already have in their lineup, I think you're right. She just looks like she's out here having fun. Preparing for her first pass. Massive double pike. You could have walked under that double pike, Kevin. Front through 2, a double tuck to end off this routine. Very clean landings. Now, something going into postseason, a lot of postseason meets are on podium, and that makes the floor surprisingly even bouncier than it already is, and that's a challenge that gymnasts have to face, which is why some teams have meets during the regular season on podium to get used to it. Georgia's got to meet on Sunday on podium to have that experience, but that's something that Missouri will have to work on through postseason, is keeping those controlled landings on that bouncier floor.
Yeah, no lack of control here, but you're right, and that's part of the calculus as Georgia heads to elevate the stage in Huntsville. Look there at Griffin, and meanwhile, the exhibitions have begun. On beam, it will be Autumn Reingold. First of our 2 exhibitions. Kara Aker will also exhibition for Georgia.
A little bit of a bobble there on her first skill, but she was able to minimize the deductions. And this is her first time on beam this year. And a handspring gainer layout pull. And she's got one under her belt. The beauty of the exhibition routines.
By the way, a quick note, that score 9.725 from Jeffrey Scott. The judges must have had a misconnection there on the leaps, and so I believe, if I'm looking at the proceedings, that Georgia is going to inquire on that score. So we'll keep an eye on it, but for right now, it's a 9.725. Still a big, important hit routine. You drop the fall from Snyder, and Georgia keeps themselves very much in this meet. 49.450 is not their season high, as we predicted. We didn't have that misconnection in there in real time. So we'll see what the results of that inquiry end up being. Meanwhile, Missouri will begin their exhibitions on floor. This is Kamara Eccles.
Kamara starting off with a full in. Should step out of bounds there, so that'll be an extra deduction. But continuing the big skills and the E-level skill too for that first pass. Not only will the clean landings be important for postseason, but all the teams that are competing in regionals and nationals are going to have those bigger, higher difficulty scores. And so to show those skills along with the control is crucial.
And by the way, I want to note as Griffin's score comes in of 9.925, Missouri 49.550 on floor. It is a quarter of a tenth off of their season best. It will improve their floor NQS, which is already 5th in the country. So shows you why they are such a good floor squad.
Definitely, and these exhibition routines are just the same caliber as the ones in the lineup. So it's great to have that depth to be able to save the gymnast bodies too if they need to, you know, headed into postseason. Great routine from Eccles.
And back over on beam, the final exhibition for Georgia will be Kara Aker.
Kara has beautiful lines on beam. She has been perfect before in her career. Back during her time at Utah.
Another of the Georgia seniors getting down a nice moment here on senior night.
And if you want someone in your back pocket to have to go in the lineup, it's Kara Aker. A super difficult series there with that aerial layout step out. Switch half. She's looking very comfortable up here. This is just her second beam outing of the season. So it's great to see her back up there. Just the dismount left. She's got a cartwheel gainer layout pull to finish off this routine. And she gets the stick. A big smile from Kara. Back in that lineup and an awesome beam rotation. I know that score from Free Scott was a little bit lower than they expected, than we expected, but still just an awesome bounce back from that first routine, showing the resilience of this Georgia beam team.
Yeah, it becomes a great mental test now that it's done. You can look back on it and say, okay, this is great. We put ourselves in an adverse position, rose to the challenge, 2 9.975s from two freshmen. A lot to be happy about for both teams in this third rotation. And the final routine in exhibition, Maya Terry.
Starting off a front double full.
I believe that's both floor exhibitions 7 and 8, opening with E-level passes for Missouri. Just
exactly.
An embarrassment of riches for Shannon Welker and his team.
And that's why, too, you know, he has shuffled the lineups a lot this year, and they haven't quite nailed down the perfect combo. And that's a good problem to have when you have such depth and you have the talent, that it makes it hard. That's a good challenge to have, is figuring out this perfect lineup. And I'd say they've continued to build on their meets week after week, and so they are peaking at the right time. And continuing to have these gymnasts that are in these extra spots to compete and get that experience will only help them moving forward.
Got a great finish coming up. High-level gymnastics in this third rotation. Georgia with a pair of 9.975s trying to come from behind at home as they get ready to head to floor exercise. The fourth and final rotation from Stegman coming up after this. For a 49.550 on floor, Georgia 49.5 on beam, a 147.975 as the sixth-ranked Gym Dogs head to floor for the final rotation. Kevin Kopp, Cat Hires with you. And Cat, we talked about this at the start of the meet, but I think especially acute as we head to floor, where the last time you and I were in this building in the quad meet that Georgia had at the end of January, Lily Smith had a perfect 10. She's second in the country. This event, particularly here in Stegman Coliseum in front of this home crowd, really where she's shown, and it's an enormous loss for Georgia not to have her in the floor lineup.
It is. It's definitely a huge gap that they're feeling, but the good news is they do have gymnasts. They've got the depth for their big gymnastics to fill those gaps. Now, you know, it always hurts not having Lily Smith in the lineup, but Georgia has a great lineup on floor, especially with the home crowd, so I'm expecting a big score from them tonight, regardless of not having Lily Smith.
This has been their strongest event this season. They're number 3 in the country. They've been as high as 49.6, and because of the exhibitions we're going to see, they are going to go 8 deep on floor, even without Smith's routine out there. But we will get ready to begin on beam, and it will be Missouri trying to protect this lead. They were actually able to extend it, even with that great 49.5 on beam for Georgia. Mizzou actually extended the lead by half a tenth, so they lead by a tenth and a quarter. Now, Georgia's score did tick up a touch. That inquiry into Javri Scott's score, Georgia did get half a tenth back. It was corrected up to a 9.775. I'm sure still not as high as the coaches would have liked to have seen it, but that does bring Georgia back within a tenth and a quarter as we start this final rotation. You know, interesting point, these two teams are separated by just one spot in the rankings. Missouri has won 11 straight matchups against Georgia. And so, you know, the win and the loss, not necessarily as important as what you do in terms of score and how that sets you up for the rest of the postseason. But you come out here in front of 10,000 people on a Friday night in your last home meet, you want to go out with a dual meet win.
Oh, you definitely do, and Missouri is a tough opponent, and they really have been building this program throughout the past few years. They have become such competitors, making nationals last year, you know, and they have big expectations. They are planning on making nationals and winning a national championship this year, and they have the talent to do it. And what a great end home meet to have for senior night, to face these Missouri Tigers.
All right, we will see Missouri protecting a lead of a tenth and a quarter, and it will be Rayleigh Jackson getting it started on beam.
To a back handspring to start off that series. Balance check on that back handspring. The goal of this first routine is really to get that momentum going. So normally you have a very consistent gymnast in that first spot to build that confidence going into the rest of the lineup. And it's tough coming into a home crowd and competing beam in front of 10,000 people that are, you know, fans of the other team, but thankfully, normally the gymnastics crowds are pretty supportive of both teams, and they should be of that routine with that gainer pike to end. That was a solid start. She had a little bit of a bobble, but nothing too major in that first routine. That dismount again, the gainer pike, and a stuck landing. Hopefully those carry through the rest of these beam routines.
All right, and now getting ready to start things on floor exercise. Senior night moment. She's been waiting. Leading off on floor for Georgia, Erin Williams.
And Erin has been a leadoff on floor throughout her career as a gym dog, so it's only fitting that she finishes her last home meet here in Stegman in that leadoff position. First pass, a double pike. Great control on that landing. And something that Coach Roberts has said about this senior class is they've just really been steady. You know, they're consistent and they're good leaders in and out of the gym. He's excited to honor them tonight, and you know, they do their best when they're having fun, and I think adding this element of celebrating the seniors will just really help them in this floor lineup as an exclamation point at the end of this night. Erin getting ready for her last pass. Double tuck. And a cold stick. Didn't even need to lunge. You can see the emotion on her face as she finishes this routine. What a great way for her to end her career here in Athens.
And that's what it's all about right there. Senior night, to be able to have that moment, to execute at the level she did while carrying all of that emotion. And I mean, that's just something really special.
Definitely, and that's all you can ask for your seniors on their senior night, is just to perform the routines that they're hoping to, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of tears here on the senior night, on this last event.
All right, back over to beam, up second, Kaya Tonskinen.
Got some cheers from the crowd, but Kaya's handling that beautifully up on the beam. She's a very experienced gymnast. She's a sophomore here from Missouri, but she competed at the 2025 World Championship for Finland, so she's no stranger to big competitions, international competitions. And she scored a 9.925 last week against Arkansas. So looking to do something similar here in Stegman. Just the dismount left. Round up 1.5. Had to take a step back, but a solid routine for Kaya Tonskinen.
All right, back-to-back seniors here for Georgia to start off the floor lineup. And we saw the emotion, and the result from Erin Williams is a career-high 9.9, which she set as a freshman at NCAA Regionals back in 2023. Took until her senior year to match at a well-deserved 9.9, and now Nicole King up second.
Full circle moment for Erin Williams. And now King in just her second routine of the season. One of the ones filling in for that spot from Lily Smith and starting off with a front double fold to a punch front. She was a little bit short, her foot kind of slipped out from under her, but she was able to stay on her feet and minimize those deductions. To be able to put a senior that has contributed so much to this team in the lineup on this back half of the season is well deserved for Nicole, and probably so rewarding for her to be able to showcase her hard work. And she really is such a leader of this team and has been through, you know, so much adversity that the Gym Dogs have faced with coaching changes and, you know, so many changes in leading the team with the culture and getting on board with the new coaches and really being an example for the young ones on the team. I think it's just a testament to her as a person and a gymnast, and she's really fulfilled that senior role.
Yeah, it's not been an easy 4 years, and I thought one of the really nice things talking with the Ryan Roberts, co-head coach, is because he's been in the program for 4 years, this is the senior class that, you know, has followed him in his journey here. And so I think there's a special connection between that group, and obviously Cecile Concuto-Landy coming in midway through that in her second season. They have been a part of this transition and have led Georgia to this remarkable season that they've had here in 2026. Over on beam, Lauren McPherson up third.
slight deduction not hitting that 180-degree split. Triple series, a handspring, layout, step out. She is solid so far. She received a 9.9 last week. She's been so consistent for the Tigers on beam this year, and just looking to continue that tonight. Gainer layout step out, a very unique skill you don't see very often in college gymnastics. I appreciate half and a stuck landing. That's going to be a high score for the Tigers. These celebrations are next level. I wonder if they practice those or if it's just an in the moment.
Comes to you in the moment. Well, when you do that on beam and have that kind of success here on the road, yeah, you get to celebrate however you want.
Exactly.
That's well deserved for McPherson. All right, up third, Harley Tomlin. .975 for King, which the way this meet is progressing, that really needs to be the score that Georgia drops if they're going to try to come from behind here in this last rotation.
And Harley's able to do just that. Starting off with this huge first pass. Round off double Arabian into the stag jump. No deductions on that landing. That's a blind landing, so really hard to land. She minimizes it with that jump out of it, but she didn't even need it on that one. Switch half Popa. Dancing along with her back in that background. Sending her that support before this last pass. A front layout step out, very unique into a double tuck. Very clean landing, a minor shuffle with that front foot, but that'll be minimal deductions. Another great routine for Georgia.
An excellent job for Harley Tomlin. Georgia halfway home here on floor.
Look at that last pass again, that front layout step out. You don't see those very often, and heading into that huge double tuck to end off that routine. Great job for Harley.
Grace Ann Davis will be up fourth for Missouri. To contend with an ovation during this routine, as it is a career or season best, 9.925 for Harley Tomlin.
Beat jump into a layout step out.
So it's just the second beam routine of the season. Meanwhile, for Davis, she had a 9.675 against LSU early this season.
And she exhibition last week, and that just goes to show the importance of those routines. She proved herself in the meet, and this week she's in the lineup. Into a sheep jump. It's a very difficult jump as you throw your head back and your eyes leave the beam. You've got a blind landing on those 4 inches. Into the dismount, a handspring, gainer, layout pull. Just a small step at the end on that landing, but another solid routine for Missouri.
And follows the 9.925 for Lauren McPherson. And up fourth will be Addie Wall.
Another huge contributor to this floor lineup.
Had a season best 9.925 last week at Kentucky.
Starting off with a full in. Addie's got some big gymnastics. Really letting her personality shine in this routine. Front through to a double tuck for that second pass. Again, very impressed with all the floor routines so far tonight. They're definitely looking in postseason shape. There's no endurance struggles. They've got power throughout their routines, huge tumbling and very clean landings. You can tell why these are two of the top floor teams in the country.
And Missouri number 5, they went out and backed it up. Terrific floor rotation, and Georgia number 3 doing the same.
That should be another big score for Georgia.
You see a couple of 9.9 plus scores already for the Gym Dogs. To see if this will add to it.
Addie with some big tumbling on that second pass. And again, such control on those landings.
Really the only hiccup for Georgia, that first pass for Nicole King. Everything else has been locked in. Up 5th for Missouri, Olivia Kelly.
An aerial back handspring for that series. Olivia continuing the solid Missouri beam lineup. The strategy with the lineups and the reason that they are so important to really figure out your perfect order is, you know, you want to start with somebody who's got a very strong routine, a double wolf turn there. That's super difficult. You want to start off with a strong routine to get the momentum going, and then, you know, you really build your lineup with the score potential throughout the rest of the lineup, and then you end with your star. And that really sets the judges up to build those scores and kind of back them in a corner for your best athlete to get the best score possible. So that's the strategy there, and a great routine from Olivia Kelly in that second to last spot.
Absolutely, and doing her part to set the table for Addison Lawrence. Now 2 remain for Georgia. Nyla Aquino will be up 5th.
You're looking for a fun routine. This is definitely the one. Starting off with this huge first pass, a double layout, massive, perfect landing. I don't think she has any fun out here at all. She looks like she's having a terrible time. Preparing for her second pass, a front through to a double tuck. Another flawless landing. This is going to be a huge score. Georgia just has such explosive floor routines. They've got the power. Even without Lily Smith, they're capable of those big scores, and you know, that's just a testament to the training that they put in. Even the ones that aren't competing week in and week out, it's still so important for them to train for moments like this.
Even in the lead, she has it, and sometimes that gets overlooked by the big tumbling, but wow,
Definitely. Huge routine from Nyla Aquino. That's going to be another big score.
Well, and again, as Kat was talking about, you talk about the construction of the lineup. Well, Williams starts out with a 9-9, and yet you make life difficult for the judges now. You see that routine from Aquino where she gives nothing away, and you say, well, where do you go?
Exactly. We've still got one more routine from Kamara Williams, who is also capable of a huge routine. So the strategy's playing well in Georgia's favor tonight.
All right, final competition routine. Remember, we will have exhibitions for both teams, but Addison Lawrence will be the one to post a score here for Missouri. And quickly the scores come up with a 9.925 for Aquino. That will match her season best. So Georgia putting as much pressure as possible on Missouri here. We know that Mizzou will have to count one of those 9.775s and a 9.85 right now. If Georgia can get one more big score from Kamara Williams, they won't count anything below a 9.9, and it could be enough to make up the difference. Remember, they came in trailing by a 1/10 and a quarter into this final rotation.
Yeah, it'll all come down to these last routines, and that's why you've got your strong athletes in these final positions to really get the most out of your lineup, and hopefully Addison Lawrence can hit a solid routine here for the Tigers.
Did have a conference between the beam judges here on the routine for Olivia Kelly. Looks like the discussion has been resolved, but we had a 9.7 start value from one of the judges, 10.0 start value from the other, and a pretty wide separation in scores. So that's a tough one right now for Missouri, where every 10th, every quarter of a 10th really matters. And Addison Lawrence will try to finish off this night on a high note for Missouri.
This is a pressure set for Addison. She's going to want to hit this routine pretty cleanly. They've got some 9.7s and again that 9.55 that they're going to hope to drop. Starting off here with the side aerial handspring step out. Beautiful series. In this anchor spot. She's no stranger to the adversity during the beam lineup, and Addie's been super consistent on this event this year. Her season high in 9.95 multiple times. So this is the one you want in that anchor spot to cap off this lineup, showing off her flexibility along with her power on this event. Just the dismount left. Another round of 1.5, and looked like she was gonna stick that, but had to take a step forward. But that's a solid hit routine, and you know, they're gonna be able to drop that 9.55 from Olivia Kelly, so a good ending to that beam routine.
All right, now the question is, will it be enough? Kamara Williams trying to deliver a home win here on senior night. It all comes down to a true freshman to cap off the night scoring.
We've got our newest Georgia gym dog. She started in December, right before the season started, hopefully honoring the most tenured gym dogs with a huge score in this floor routine to end up this lineup and hopefully win this meet for the gym dogs. Massive double layout. That was sky high. She has so much power, and she basically walked into that double layout. It is so impressive, the power this athlete has on floor. And the confidence, too, for being such a young athlete, especially in college. She is so sure of her gymnastics, and it shows when she's out on this competition floor. One more pass for Kamara. Front through to a double tuck. Beautiful landing. She's happy with that one. So far, I haven't seen any major deductions. Not sure what the judges are going to take. And a huge routine from Kamara to cap off this floor lineup. You can see the emotion from her too, hopefully feeling like she's honoring her seniors with that final routine.
Yeah, sometimes the pressure falls just as much on the underclassmen trying to do their best to deliver and send these seniors out right. And she has done a brilliant job. What a finish, what a rotation for Georgia on floor. And now we wait for the final scores to come in. Addison Lawrence on beam, Kamara Williams on floor. We have two exhibitions. This will be Haley Westerland for Missouri. We'll see Brooke Pearson and Chenge Bakshkoy, the senior, to cap off the night officially for Georgia. And it's a 9.975, the third of the night. Kamara Williams is taking home her second 9.975 of the evening, her second career high. She almost capped this senior night off in the best possible way you can. She'll settle for a 9.975 and delivering Georgia's first win over Missouri since 2021. A come-from-behind victory for the Gym Dogs here at home.
And the 9.975s from the freshmen to honor their seniors tonight. That is incredible. And not to go unnoticed, that exhibition routine was really, I didn't see deduction in that as well. And to handle that in exhibition from Haley Westerland with the noise of that excitement of the 9.975, that was a flawless routine. So again, Missouri with such strong athletes in and out of those lineups.
You see 197.275 for Missouri. It's going to match their high road score of the season. So we'll talk about why that matters in a moment. But first, exhibition floor routine from Brooke Pearson.
First time competing on floor. Nothing like getting out there on senior night in front of your home crowd. Filling that leap combo. A wolf turn, a unique skill to see on floor. And another solid routine from the freshman.
Yeah, terrific job. And you see the score come in for Kamara Williams officially now 9.975. That's a season best 49.625 on floor and a season best 197.6 overall for Georgia. And again, they do it without Lily Smith. It's not to say that Georgia is a stronger team without her. Clearly not. Second in the country on floor and top 10 on bars as well. But the resilience that this team has shown, the depth that this roster has, and the way that they came out and executed here at home is something really special.
It definitely is, and that's something that Ryan Roberts was talking about, that they really focus on we as a team, not just I, and it's not just about one person. And while Lily Smith is crucial to the lineup, they did have those athletes that were ready to step in and support the team where needed, and that just speaks to the resilience of this team and the ability for them to really face that adversity with confidence. And they've really done that in these past 2 meets, missing their, top competitor in Lily Smith.
All right, now let's see if we can get one more special senior moment here. Chenge Bakshkai will finish up in exhibition on floor exercise for Georgia.
Chinga hasn't broken into the lineup yet this year on floor, but she has competed in her entire career on this event, including in every meet last year as a junior. Looking to break in here. Beautiful full in to start. Again, with the difficulty in these exhibition routines, it just shows the depth that they have, and it's such a game changer when you're able to pull an athlete and know that your lineup's gonna move forward seamlessly despite making a change.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to break in when you count every score 9-9 or above. That's not leaving a lot of room. And I mean, this is a terrific routine, a terrific competitor with a lot of experience. It just goes to show you how loaded this Georgia team is.
And that's the importance of having these athletes in these exhibition spots and alternate spots to keep that lineup sharp, because if you have an off week, a beautiful 2.5 there for that second pass, but if you have an off week, you know that somebody's going to step in and take your spot, and so it keeps you sharp, keeping the team at their best level that they can be. Immediate tears from the senior for her last routine here in Stegman.
You couldn't ask for any more from the way the rotation began with Aaron Williams, from the way the night began with Jeffrey Scott, and Chenge Bakshkai able to cap it off. A night where the seniors were celebrated and the freshmen delivered 9.975 after 9.975, and it all adds up to a 197.6, a season-high score, and a home victory for Georgia over Missouri. Let's take a break. We'll come back to wrap this one up. Georgia comes from behind in the 4th rotation and gets the victory. We're back to Athens in a moment.